So, friends, I was watching a reality TV show that did not have any scandalous behavior in it. I couldn't believe it. That's why I watched it. And it was basically about entrepreneurialism. It's called Celebrity Apprentice. So, the first season with Arnold Schwarzenegger as its host, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I actually liked it. And I actually took some notes and some takeaways, and I'm going to go over the bullet points of my notes because I think it's a very valuable life lesson that I got from the guy who won, who had everything working against him, and he was the least known of all the celebrities. So everything working against him, and he happens to be the guy that won. And I forget how many people started, but it was well over a dozen. It was like 16, 17, 18, 19 people or something like that. And he had the worst odds of all of them, and he won anyway. And then I'm going over all this, and I'm like, well, of course he won. I recognize this stuff. I've been studying this stuff for years and years and years. Success leaves clues. There's patterns. I'm really great about pattern recognition because it's easy, and anyone can do it. So therefore, success is really a science. And when something is a science, it means you just find out the formula and you freaking do it, and you can create your own personalized version of success, whatever the heck that looks like for you. So here's what I've learned, and feel free to take some notes and apply this into your own life. I am an entrepreneur after all, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, so I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the host for American Ninja Warrior. The first thing that I noticed that I jotted down is that throughout the series, he shared his story. He's got a great story. It connects on an emotional level, and he made it emotional, and he was truthful and honest and just put it all out there with a positive aim. And so people connected with that. People connect when people are vulnerable. It takes a lot of humility and sort of a dismissal of one's ego to really be vulnerable, because there's always going to be someone that's going to judge you and put you down for it. So you cannot be so self-absorbed as to share your story. Otherwise, you're not going to do it, because the person that says boo is going to make you go away. So what that tells me is this person here has making a difference in people's lives at the top of his totem pole of priorities, where most people at the top of their totem pole of priorities is the self-preservation of their image in the eyes of other people. If there's a chance somebody might make you feel bad for sharing your story and being vulnerable, you won't do it. So for a lot of people, you got to really re-question, where's your priority? Is it to make a difference, or is it auto-protection and the preservation of your self-image in the eyes of other people? That's a big question that a lot of people can't or won't answer. And some people, when they hear it like that, they're like, wow, that's right, I got to rethink this, and that's a good thing. So if this helps you out just with that one thing alone, that's great. So that's the first thing I noticed. He was the best at sharing his story. It was emotional, he was vulnerable, and he did it with a priority of wanting to make a difference. And people connected. His feedback was, I loved your story. The people that were judging his performance throughout the tasks and so on, they said to him more than anybody else, I love your story. It connected with me on an emotional level. The next thing that I noticed is that he was constantly monetizing his mistakes as he made them and scaling up on what was working for him. So that's a life concept. You're going to make errors, right? And you're also going to have things happen to you that are perceived as bad and you had no control over it whatsoever. Like sometimes things happen to you that you have no control over, but it's all how you respond to it. And in these instances, he was constantly learning from his mistakes. It was a lesson to be learned. And he scaled up on what was working for him. So no matter what happened, if it was a bad experience or good experience, in the end, they were all good experiences because they all served a purpose to teach him what was and was not working, so he could scale up on what was working and change what wasn't working. Pretty simple concept, but a lot of people miss it. The next thing I noticed kind of stems from the last one. He took criticism extremely well, constructively. He took criticism constructively. He didn't have a big ego that wouldn't listen. He was open to constant correction and recorrection. And when someone is not open to correction and recorrection, when you get all defensive when someone's trying to criticize you or help you or offer some advice, a lot of people get really defensive and they go on offense. And that's not good. I mean, be selective in who you learn from, because some people you learn from them, they'll send you to the poorhouse. Other people you learn from them, they'll help you accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. So you have to be wise in who you learn from. But you need a really high level of humility to challenge your own beliefs and to listen to the wisdom that other people have that maybe you're lacking in. And he did that really, really well. So he didn't get his feelings hurt, and say, I quit, or even to put out less. He instead acted with even more fervor for his cause, his reasons, his mission for being there. It was a beautiful thing. And that's all the notes that I wrote about it. So he had the most working against him, and he won anyway against all those other people. So maybe that went towards his motivation. The most interesting thing about that to me is, a lot of people will list all these reasons why they can't do something. You can find justification all day long. Perfect rationale as to why you can't accomplish something really important to you, whether it be your health, your financial freedom, an important goal for your family or yourself, a mission, whatever. You can always find the rationale to not get started, or if you've already started, to quit or to take a break from it or whatever. You will never have a problem finding the rationale for that. This guy had the most working against him. He had more rationale than anyone else had on that entire journey, right? So all you need is one really great reason that is more powerful than all the other reasons why you can't, and you'll do it. You'll turn all those perfect reasons not to do something into perfect reasons why you should do something, right? Absolutely. So that, to me, is extremely interesting, and it even relates to my story. This is really important, everybody. When I got started on my own journey of health and financial freedom and health and wealth and wanting to make a difference in all these things, I had no skills. I was in special ed classes in grade school. I got D's, barely passed even though I was in special ed. And I had no anything that you could, even right now I can't even talk right. But I didn't have anything going for me that said I was going to be a success, right? So I got started anyway. I had no cash flow, no job, no way to pay off a startup cost to get something to solve all these problems. I got into the home business arena because somebody invited me and it seemed legit to me. But I didn't even have the time to do it, and I didn't have the money to do it or anything. The skills, the education, the background, all that stuff was working against me. I decided those were perfect reasons why I have to do this, because I'm sick of being a loser, right? I'm sick of being things that are far beyond a loser and far more deeper and meaningful than just the superficial loser term. But that meant something to me, and I was sick and tired of it. So I turned all those reasons into perfect reasons why I had to. Because what do most people say about anything? I don't have the health, I don't have the wealth, I don't have the time, I don't have the background, I don't have the skills, I don't know how, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I got kids, and all these other things. And then that's the majority. The few use those same reasons. Well, I have to because I got kids. Well, I have to because I'm broke. Well, I have to because I have this past. Well, I have to because I have no time and I'm sick of all these things consuming everything, and this is my only life. I want to make it count and matter. So then all these perfect reasons why not to suddenly becomes a perfect reason to do, and it adds so much more fuel to the fire when somebody looks at it that way than somebody that doesn't have all these, things working against them. So somebody that doesn't have all these things working against them, that can actually be a liability because that person may not be as motivated. But if you're the one person that has the most working against you, like this guy did who won the Celebrity Apprentice, as it turns out, every show he had the most energy and all these other things I was telling you about because he had fire in his belly. Most people, when they got that much working against them, or even one thing, let alone everything, they rationalize quitting and not getting started. So that's like the major takeaway of all those things right there. So whatever your reasons are, friends, for not doing something that's really important to you, turn it on its head and be different. In a good way, be different. You're a dime a dozen if you're using all these reasons of rationale as to why you can't do something, especially if you're saying, yeah, but you don't know me, Tom. You don't know the way it is. And I'm just telling it how it is, Tom, which is going to keep it how it is, which is so stupid and self-destructive, and that makes you a dime a dozen. So stop being a dime a dozen. Don't be most people. That's why most people are most people, and you can get out of that nonsense. You pull a racket over yourself because you're like most people. So I'm telling you, just consider what most people are doing, how most people think, how most people spend their time and money, how most people respond to mistakes and problems and setbacks and challenges, how most people rationalize stuff, and do the complete opposite, and you will by default be ahead of at least 19 out of 20 people. The income inequality gap was created by people, not politicians, not big business. It was created by people because our mindset sucks. So be the few, and you will go somewhere by default. Okay? I've got plenty more on my website, TomBerkenmeyer.com, spelled just like how you see it on social media. Take out the space, all lowercase, TomBerkenmeyer.com. And share this with your friends. If you know some people that would dig this message, the realness of this message, feel free to pass it along and share it. And that way maybe we can rail against and be terrifying to people that actually want to make their money by managing people's sickness and poverty. Instead of that, we can make our money by spreading health and wellness If you love that idea, then connect with me privately and share this with other people, okay? Bye for now. Mwah.